Hi there, and thank you so much for joining this episode of Wind Down Wednesday. On this Wind Down Wednesday, I am going to talk about an actual encounter that I had with a client, and the moment that they realize that they are right in the cusp of proceeding forward into essentially 10xing their firm. And now we're going to explore looking at opportunities where they can now look at advancing beyond one rainmaker in their business to instead empowering the other attorneys that are in the practice who are willing and definitely able to help bring in new business, but just do not know how. So, if you have not met me before, I am Antonia Berry. I am the CEO of Strategy Academy and also the Chief Law Firm Business Developer. So let's get into the details. So recently I did a 1 day workshop with one of my prospective clients. And during these initial workshops, I usually take that time to, yes, deliver content and to, of course, allow the attendees to get their CLE credit, whatever is promised and attached to that content, that workshop. And at the end of the workshop, I was able to take questions from the individuals who attended the workshop and also able to share some information with them about the specifics of what business development is, how it works, and all that jazzy stuff. And in just casual conversation with them, and then also speaking to the sole rainmaker of the firm, I very quickly realized that they have a huge opportunity to 10x their business. They're right there on the cusp of making that happen. However, they just need to know what tools they need to just need to put those tools in place, bringing somebody on to essentially walk them through the process, hold them accountable, and then work with them to implement, right? And that is where Strategy Academy comes in. So this morning I spoke to the marketing associate that's assigned to this firm, got her to understand exactly, what it is that I found in speaking with them after the CLE accredited workshop was done, and just assessing, where they're at, what they're willing to do, what they're able to do. And she and I both got to the place of realizing that, this is an opportune time for this particular firm to leap forward, right? So essentially they're at the what I call the fork in the road. They can either one continue to do what they have been doing for a very long time with one rainmaker. However, with those types of approaches to developing business and to bringing in new business and just generally just expanding the practice, it is limited to what that one or just small handful of rainmakers are able to do. Like, that's a huge amount of pressure and responsibility to just have one rainmaker, or perhaps just two or three others even, right? So, in having this conversation and realizing that there are other attorneys within the practice that are able to help bring in new business, they just need to understand, essentially what business development really is, how it works, what to do when they go to network, what not to do, and just basically how to work a lead from being somebody that you've met and then working them through to being a client, right? Because essentially these individuals that you're going out and networking with, once you know who your ideal client is, you're able to then capture information about them and move them through your funnel and then convert them into being your client. So then we got to talking about this very brand spanking new concept that's coming to Strategy Academy this week. It's being launched. That's going to be either a 6 or 12 month program for law practices to implement these training sessions that are CLE accredited into their business development efforts. And on the back of those CLEs, there are going to be sessions where strategy is actually done with the one-on-one individuals and also at the firm level, so that everybody is singing from the same song sheet. Everybody's being held accountable. There are KPIs that are in place. like I said, there's accountability. So it was so amazing to, see this particular prospect of Strategy Academy first identified. We loved the energy, we loved the culture of the firm. So now we went in and did that first CLE workshop with them, got an understanding of, what their needs are. And it just so happened that they fit so well into this criteria that we've put out here for this program that we're launching. Like I said, that's going to run for 6 to 12 months, just kind of depending on where the practice is and what the leadership team wants to do. But introducing this concept here as well, just so that the wider audience of our LinkedIn page as well as our YouTube channels understand what it is that we're launching, who it fits for, who's a good fit for, and perhaps it might be something that might be of interest for your practice or of another practice that you might be aware of, that just are right there on the cusp of 10x in the business, advancing that business, leveraging up, leveling up to the next level. So, just stay tuned as we develop this relationship. This is a little bit of us practicing what we preach, where we're developing this relationship with this prospect, and, working them through how we can best help them to get from where they currently are and to instead 10x up and, really grow their practice. So, like I said, introducing the concept here. If you want to hear more about it, please send us a message, or you can go ahead and book a consultation with us, and we'd be happy to unpack it all to you. But stay tuned to see how things go with this prospect that's, just right there in thinking about becoming one of our clients, and then for us to help them. And I would love to be able to share the outcomes that they experience with you, so that you can see that the strategies that we put in place actually work, and to actually see this concept in action. So thank you so very, very much for joining this Wind Down Wednesday. I hope that you continue to watch our videos and look at our content that we put out here. We're wanting to ensure that whatever we put out is helpful to our audience, and that our audience is able to take some of this content and implement it into their day-to-day business development and strategic development practices. So thank you again so much for joining this Wind Down Wednesday. We hope to see you on the next episode. Bye now.